Hi everyone, Gianni DePoce here with you for Theo Trade, and today is the 8th of October 2024. We are seeing a nice rebound once again in the stock market, and internally, I'm seeing a lot of really positive signs. Starting off with the S&P 500 here, we are consolidating at resistance of this ascending triangle formation. And as a rule, consolidations near the highs of a move are considered to be bullish price action. Now, this consolidation has been going on for a couple of weeks. And so the longer that it goes on, the more we can come to the conclusion that the market has effectively corrected through time instead of price. This is a good sign. But it's not just this strong pattern that we're seeing. Like I said, the right sectors are starting to become leaders again. Now, this pattern in the S&P 500 is projecting a move up into the $6,200 to $6,300 area. Whether or not we get there by the end of the year, I can't say that right now, but we are seeing a series of higher highs and higher lows. Now, I would say even more importantly is that we're seeing the NASDAQ outperform to the upside here. Now, I really need to see the NASDAQ make a new all-time high. We're going on 3 months without a new all-time high in the NASDAQ. That doesn't exactly make me feel warm and fuzzy inside. However, over the last month, technology has emerged as the top performing sector in the S&P. Now, there is a bit of a caveat to that, and I'll get to that in a moment, but the important thing is that tech is leading across an important time interval, and we need to see tech outperform because tech is the largest and thus, by consequence, most important sector in the S&P 500. And we know that the tech sector makes up a large chunk of the NASDAQ 100. So you're seeing the NASDAQ up over 1.2% so far today. And for me, it really is new all-time highs or bust for the NASDAQ right now. So I like what's happening there. But like I said, the divergence continues to be an issue. Now, even though tech has emerged as the leader in the last month, over the last 3 weeks, we've seen a rebound in the inflation trade. Does it have only to do with the Fed's recent rate cut? Perhaps. So let's go ahead and take a look at energy real quick because you're seeing a sharp sell-off in crude oil today, which I think will help bonds find a temporary floor. I am looking for a temporary low here in bonds. I know Stanley Druckenmiller came out a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, it's time to short bonds. I disagree with Mr. Druckenmiller. I think that we are due for a low of significance and eventually a continuation of the uptrend. I do think inflation will become a serious risk for markets at some point, but my model has us looking out about a year, let's say 9 to 12 months from now, before that becomes a serious risk. Now, obviously, we have to contend with the wealth effect from stocks being at all-time highs, wealthier people going to spend more because they feel wealthier, and that can help kickstart inflation as well. But the Fed's printing money again too. They're trying to lower interest rates at some point that will make its way through the economy. But as long as crude oil struggles to sustain a bid, I don't expect that to be a major concern for the market near term. And that's good for tech. We know that tech likes to do better in low interest rate environments, lower rate environments. Let's take a look at the US dollar real quick here because I think the dollar is coming out of a low of significance. Taking a look at USD JPY, if we take out that high from August, I think it will all but confirm a new bull trend there. The euro consolidating its losses recently against the dollar. You zoom out and take a look at the dollar index here. I think we may be dealing with a false breakdown. Was a little bit of bullish divergence at that low just recently at the end of September. And if that was a false breakdown here, wouldn't be surprised to see the dollar rocket higher. So let's talk a little bit more about this internals in the stock market. Like I mentioned, you're seeing like I said, NASDAQ outperform the S&P. That's a good sign. You're also starting to see chips outperform. You're seeing a lot of really good setups underneath the surface of the market. And I do have a strategy to play NVIDIA on the long side today. I shared that with members in the chat room. So we're not quite long NVIDIA yet, but there is a strategy to get long. And chances are, if a name like NVIDIA breaks out to new all-time highs and rallies as high as 180, I can't imagine that being bearish for the overall stock market. Okay, chips have a tendency to lead. You look at AMD, you look at Micron, which is a name that we're long on the swing, Broadcom. These are all really strong bullish setups, and I don't think that they should be ignored. Tech leads, yes, but chips lead within tech. Think about all these companies that are developing artificial intelligence and working on upgrading their quantum computing, all that kind of stuff. They need new chips. If chips start to break down, then we have our signal that something's seriously wrong in the market. But as long as chips are leading the way higher, I see no reason to be bearish. I see no reason to be bearish. Let's take a look at biotech, because you know I've been a biotech bull for quite some time. I do think we need to see interest rates start to move back lower, but a couple names in the space that are really catching my interest. Viking Therapeutics up 6.6%. This is a name that we own, in fact, through AI Timing Webs. This continues to look strong. And then, of course, AppLovin, which has been probably the best stock that we've traded this year, hitting another new all-time high. We actually have an upside target on this stock in the 210 area. Also noticing an interesting theme emerging in the uranium space. URA starting to come back. I'm kind of calling it the new economy. It's I guess like a thesis that I'm kind of mulling over in my mind that I look forward to sharing with you sometime in the near future. But CCJ holding up all right. We do have a position in NNE. It was looking really good up until yesterday, getting hit pretty hard today. We'll see if that can hold on. But I'm still very enthusiastic about what's happening in the crypto space. I think we're still early. I think we'll still see some more upside. And I'm not ruling out Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high by the end of the year. The primary way that we are playing this Bitcoin bull market is with MicroStrategy. We did back up the truck on this name. It's close to hitting a new multi-decade high. And then Core Scientific, seeing a little bit of selling today. It is off the lows of the day, but I do like the setup for the stock consolidating near the highs. So that is looking bullish as well. I do want to bring up what's happening in China, because after capturing the attention of investors over the last couple of weeks, we're finally starting to see some meaningful selling. I think this is just profit taking. I think we have begun a new bull market in China, which will open up opportunities to trade a little bit abroad. You take a look at FXI here, the weekly chart. It does appear that we broke out from a rounding bottom formation. Now, I would look for prices to consolidate here a little bit after this explosive rally. I mean, this market appreciated like 50% in a matter of a couple of weeks. I mean, that's at the index based level, or the index level. That doesn't happen almost ever in any market. I mean, a lot of times we still kind of classify China into the emerging market category. I think that's kind of silly at this point. But honestly, when you see 50% moves in a couple of weeks, yeah, that is like an emerging market type of move. So, a couple names that are watching in the space, JD, I do have a position in Tencent that's down today, but we got in quite a bit ago, so it's still in the positive today despite the sell-off. And Kifu Technology, another name that we have on the books that is looking good. But you take a look at Alibaba, still down 7% today. This stuff is like the Amazon of China, right? So it's probably a name that's going to do well. But you look stateside here at some of the big tech names. Apple looking strong. I'm a big Meta bull that hit a new all-time high yesterday, and I'd like Tesla as well. If Tesla clears 270, look out above, guys, because the stock could and should rip at that point. And then, of course, you have Netflix, which you have earnings coming up in a couple of weeks. Tesla also has its event day in a couple of days here, something to keep an eye on. But do have long positions in Tesla, Netflix, and Meta right now. And those are all looking strong. So that's everything that I wanted to cover with you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the Theo Trade chat room.